again. Well, yesterday I did my first stream and actually ended up not having ticked off the save the VOD file. So as nobody saw it live, nobody will ever see it. So all the things I did yesterday is kind of lost, but I did it. So I will go over what I did yesterday and hopefully we can go from there. First of all, I'm trying to learn Zig. I spent some time a couple of months ago to just get an understanding of what Zig was, but I didn't get far and kind of lost interest because I was trying to use it together with raylib, and I got it working, but I found myself continuously having issues converting from one integer type to another. So for every for loop or iteration from the raylib library where I had to iterate over some resolutions or something, I had to do the conversions, and I think that just annoyed me. And when I found out that you couldn't just import a library for importing and exporting JSON, that it felt like too much when you're used to programming languages like Java, Kotlin, C#, some higher level languages where things just is done for you. Then Zig is a lot of code for doing simple things. But I do think that that control is something that I'm yearning for. Like the memory management, I really like the idea of having control of the data that I'm manipulating. I know that I do have the same kind of control in C# and garbage collected languages, but having the raw data accessible, like I can allocate some memory and just read it as whatever data format I like. I really like that idea. I actually think that it's possible to just allocate a list of structs in a memory location, and you can read it as something else if you want to. But yeah, so Zig sounds like it's low level, very low level. It should be even faster than C. I don't know how they've done that, but apparently it should be. So that's positive. I like the control. I like having control of the memory. So there's a lot of stuff that I like. Also, doing optimized libraries that I can use in other programming languages is kind of nice. I'm educated as a electronics mechanics, I think it's called in Danish back in the day. So I also like the hardware part. It's closer to the hardware, and as I understand, it can use all the old C libraries. So you have a lot of already existing infrastructure to be able to use at your own convenience. So that is really, really good. Okay, installing Zig. Let's take it from there. Let's open that terminal. Just put it over here. I started by not downloading but learning, and I found that getting started. I'm at the ziglang.org homepage, which is the official homepage for Zig, and I thought that starting by learn would be a good place to start. So getting started, Installing zig, there's a lot of different things for Windows and Mac, but not really anything for Linux. But it says it's also present in many package managers for Linux. So all I did was try, as I'm on CachyOS, I just tried to see if pacman, it was a package for pacman, and it is. Oh, of course you have to sudo. And it just installs, total install size. And that was it. Now I have zig installed. So if I run zig, there it is. It already works. Then I can go back to this page. And here we have this test for run hello world. So I think we should just try to build the first project. I did a learning zig directory yesterday. I'm not going to touch that one right now. I'm just going to make a new directory. Just going to make a temp directory. And in there, I'm going to make a directory called hello world. Go into it. It's empty. And then we can do this zig init. Zig init. And if we go and see what's in here now, as we can see, we got a source folder, we got a build.zig file and a build.zig.sion, son, Z-O-N. So first of all, let's look at the source files. So there's main and the root. Let's cat the main. So what do we have here? We have some consts and a standard library, I guess. Hello world, it imports hello world. And as you can see, I don't think anything is referencing anything about this hello world. Yes, try hello world.bufferprint. We got a public function main, and as I understand it, this exclamation point tells says that this can return an error. Yeah, because it has this try. As I said, I read some of it yesterday, so I have and have used it before, but not much, and it was months ago. So, but this says it can return an error, and this try is the one that kind of bubbles up the error. So if this returns an error, as I understand it, if that fails, it just throws it up to the next level. So here it will just exit the program and write out the error message. Was maybe it, I don't know if it uses return types, you know, the integer values for the returns. But let's just, for convenience sake, open a new window. Go to the same folder. Oh, sorry. Temp. Hello world. Source. and cat the root, because in here you can see again it imports the standard library, and here we have this buffered print that is being used here, and we have a standard out buffer with 1 kilobytes of U8s, and U8s, as I understand it, is unsigned integers with 8 bits. Standard out writer. That's some file standard out write from this buffer, and some pointer. Yeah. Zig build test, run test. This I get. Wow. Take two 32-bit integers and return the sum of them. And then we have a test. That's one thing I really like about Zig, the idea of having tests right there in the normal executables. So if you have some functions here, you can write the test right there and then. Basic add functionality, try standard testing, expected add. Okay, so this is just a test for this function. So that's what we have in the source folder. Let's look at what's in the build.zig. Build.zig. Wow, a lot of explanation. I like that. I really like that. It's a little bit small. I'm just gonna zoom in a bit. Sorry about not doing that before. Oh, wow. So it contains apparently one function called build that takes, again, I'm not used to the notation yet. So the star, I think, is a pointer to this type. And if it's an ampersand, it's the address. But let's see. Standard target option. So we have to have a target. So again, I think that the targets are, if you want to do a build for Windows, then you can change this. Optimization, what you're gonna optimize for. I think you can optimize for safety, for speed, and for memory, right? But yeah, all that for later. Then we have an add module. And see here, that's why we had this reference before. If we're just gonna go to this one. Yes. Sorry. This was the root zig. And as I said, it doesn't refer to anything called hello world. So how can we import it and use this buffer print in the main function when we don't have any way to, the library we imported was called hello world. So that didn't make really much sense to me, but it does when you see this add module called hello world based on this source, which was the root zig. Target is target, what did we say? Target to, okay, standard. So I guess this one builds this module based on the root zig in source. And then we have add executable, okay, which is also named hello world. That's the name of our output file that is going to be executable. And then it's going to create from the main zig file that's the source of this one, using the target, using the optimizer, and the optimize was this one, standard optimization. Oh, scroll past it. And then the imports. It imports this Hello World module. So I'm not sure that it's importing it into the same file, or it's going to create a file besides the executable that it's going to use. But that again is something that we're going to look into. I don't really care about build scripts and building and optimization of the build. I just want to code. It's the code that interests me. So all this is something I have to learn to do the other stuff. But for now, if that works, then I'm not going to touch it. All this install artifact, I could read through all this, but for now I'll wait, and if I need to, I will go into it. But let's see if we can get something to run. Right now we had this, and we need to build it, because now we just ran the zig init that built this, it created this folder structure and these files. And then we go back here. What do we do to build it? This should output. It did. Running zig builds. They could highlight this, just including it in a bold or italic, something that indicated that this was actually a command to run. Running zig build. So we're just gonna copy that one and see what happens. Oh, it actually did something. So let's see. It did some zig cache, and we got a zig-out. First of all, it cached something. I don't know if you noticed how long it took to do the first build. But if we try to do it again, let's see. Yeah, it doesn't even register. It's just rebuild because it can see that there's nothing to do. But let's check what's in the zig-out. There was a bin folder, and there we have an executable called hello world. Let's try running it. All your bases are belong to us. A small homage to this old computer game. I can't remember what it was called, but there was this really bad translation from, I think, Japanese to English, where it said all your bases are belong to us. Nice. So it all works as expected. And then yesterday I spent a lot of time not installing Visual Studio Code, but trying to get the right extensions and learning Visual Studio Code. I'm normally programming in an IDE like IntelliJ or Visual Studio, even though it's been 3+ years since I opened Visual Studio. So I'm not used to Visual Studio Code, and actually ended up spending maybe half an hour just on getting Visual Studio Code to build my little Hello World program within Visual Studio Code, and setting up the syntax highlights and so on. So I'm just gonna go back to that project now, because it's the same as this. I'm just gonna remove the temp folder here, There it is. We're just going to close that one down and just stay with this. And Visual Studio Code, it's just called code apparently. Right? Huh. Okay. That was unexpected. But okay. It's still in temp hello world source that we just deleted. So let's just go to our home directory and try again. There it is. And we can just pin this to pin to dock. To install Visual Studio Code, I used the command called yay and Visual Studio Code bin. The reason I selected Visual Studio Code over VSCode was, to ensure that everybody can follow along. So and also I wanted to make absolutely sure that all the extensions I needed was usable in Visual Studio Code. I have had some issues in VSCode where a plugin didn't work because it wasn't the real Visual Studio. I don't like that Microsoft is looking over my shoulder. That's one of the reasons why I'm not using Windows. And I'm really happy that I switched about 3 years ago, kind of forced by my current employer, where we use typically pacman or Manjaro Linux, but I at home has found that the CachyOS is absolutely the best because I also want to play games, and pacman was simply getting too old. I for once actually spent some money on a decent graphics card and it wouldn't work. And after installing CachyOS, it just had the drivers by default and everything has run smoothly. So kind of a sidetrack there, but CachyOS has been amazing. But yeah, installing Visual Studio Code was quite easy. That single command and everything just worked. So hopefully you have something similar on your distribution or Windows if you like that. So yeah, I can see that's a bit small. How do you zoom in Visual Studio Code? Can I just zoom? No, that would have been too easy. Appearance, full screen mode. Zoom in. Control-Shift-0. Why 0? Is that the plus on English keyboard? Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. That's a bit much. Is that okay? I think that's okay. Just give me a second. I'll be right back. And I'm back. So I got this set up after spending about half an hour on it. And let's see. All I did was, as you can see, the structure is the exact same as we just saw. The source, the zig-out, the build.zig, and the build.zig. We didn't even look at the ZON file. I think that's, it looks to be like, we have it the same in Visual Studio, where we have all the kind of information about the product, the executable itself. So name, version, fingerprint. I don't know if this is just a random. A lot of bytes. What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 64 hash or something. Minimum zig version. Okay. And dependencies. Currently none. And paths. Built. Okay. Again, specifies the set of files and directories that are included in this package. Only files and directories listed here are included in the hash that is computed for this package. Only files listed here will remain on disk when using the zig package manager. As a rule of thumb, one should list files required for compilation plus any licenses. Paths are relative to the build root. Use the empty string to refer to the build itself. Okay, again, it's details that I'm not really interested in at current. So I'm just gonna leave it as is. What took me some time to figure out was these two, launch and tasks, because I'm used to an IDE and this is it's an advanced text editor. So I just thought I could just run it out of the box, because when I went to the main, I was actually able to run the tests just by clicking a play button out here. So that confused me that I could run tests, but I couldn't actually run my main program, which is kind of weird. But apparently you can make tasks, give it a label, what type it is, and shell. I guess that's just a terminal saying that it's a terminal command, sorry. And the command itself is just zig build, and it's optimized for debug. And options, the current working directory of the executable program or script. If omitted code, current workspace root is used. So this is being replaced with this, the path for this one. So it's just saying that the command should be run at that location. So as soon as we have that one, we can run tasks. And for now, I have this configuration, launch configurations, which can debug. And to be able to debug, we needed some extensions. Let's just jump over to the extensions. I'm just all over the place right now. Let's see. All I did was, first of all, I just searched for zig, and we had this zig language support for zig programming. And again, I didn't check, but I saw that 200,000 people had installed this. So I just selected that one, and as soon as I did, I had all these syntax highlights. And I don't know if I have code completion, but yeah, I do. Nice. So some kind of IntelliSense is being run. It suggested to install a language server, and I just accepted that one. And then to be able to debug a single Google search, or in my case a DuckDuckGo search, I found that code LLDB was the way to go. So I installed that one, and the dependency was LLDB DAB. I was not sure what the DAB stands for, and I don't think I found out yesterday. So yeah, still no idea what it is. Maybe I should just Google that and figure that out. We can just Well, yes. Okay, that didn't give a lot of information, and it kind of broke. That's weird. Okay, let's just take this, copy it. Oh, it's because I'm all over the place. Again, I have a couple of browsers here. I'm just gonna unpin that one because I really like using this one. Oof, light theme. Can we just... themes. I am a dark theme lover. I like it. I think it's this one. So, oh, it said it right here. Debug adapter protocol. Okay, that's fancy. But okay, so that's kind of a protocol for how to communicate and debug, I guess. Nice. So we have the ability to debug, and we have the IntelliSense and code completion and syntax highlights. So that is very nice. Then let's take a look at the build and run. See? I guess that after I added the tasks, it has the ability to build it. I'm still a bit confused about when it actually says to run it, because in this launch, maybe it's down here, options and defaults. No, that's some select inputs. The configuration, request launch of, okay, so maybe this is the one that actually launches it. So if I'm gonna say F5, it says which program to run, and I'm saying hello world, and it's doing something, but whoa, failed to redirect standard IO to a terminal. Terminal agent did not respond within the allotted time. Debug E output will appear here. It did run the program, but apparently there was an issue. Weird. But if I run it with Control F5, it just executes the code itself, and that's what we are aiming for. That's what we want to do. Of course, we would really like to be able to debug moving on, but for now, this is actually good. We have a hello world, and the main zig is print hello world. So we can actually start doing something. We can try to, yeah, output stuff. We can try learning the actual language now. I finally got somebody in chat. I can see that it's my son. So, yes, I understood everything that's happening here. Totally. Anyways, hi InkD, you know who it is. Yes, I do know who it is. Thank you for watching. So let's go to the website and just take it from the beginning. Learn language reference. Yes. Oh, a lot of white here. Could we just tone it down a bit? I feel like I'm in front of, yeah, the sun. Let's see. There's actually a lot of good information in here, even though it's the language reference and not get started or learning. So maybe we should just take the language reference from the top. General purpose language, toolchain for maintaining robust, optimal and reusable software. Yes, we like that. And we already have the hello world. So apparently what they are doing in in the code here, where we have this nice standard print, we are using, I'm just gonna go back to the code and just open this one. I hope that we can do this. Yes. Just analyzing what's actually going on here, because let's take the print run signal. No. Buffered print. It uses this buffered print, but what does that actually do? Because where does it get its information from? It just makes a buffer, standard out, and a writer interface, and tries to print out run zig build. Oh, it's actually doing the second part of this. So standard. So when you want to write out to the standard output and not the debug output, or do we always use the debug output? Let's see, because right here it uses this. I don't like the idea of it referencing standard file system file standard out and writes to the console, because files and console to me isn't the same. But I guess it's the good old, in Linux or on Linux, everything is files. And yes, it feels like a flashbang when I switch to this page. It's really, really bright. And I feel like I got a little bit pale looking at that page compared to this one, right? Yes, flashbanged. But let's just try and see what happens if we use this. And it just outputted the hello world. So what's the difference? If we're just gonna remove this one, we should just get these two. So we have debug. Can we do? Yes, we can. What I did was just F12, which is also used in Visual Studio, to jump to the definition of something. So if I'm on print, debug print, and presses F12, I jump to the debug.zig file, which I guess is part of the standard library. Yes. And here we get the information of what it's actually doing. So it's doing some log standard writer. Deferred. I think deferred is something to do with it is executed on exit or something. It's not executed right away. But that's something I've never used deferred in any other language, I think. No suspend, print. And there we have some catch on a try. I believe that this is a default value you can set. So if this can return an error, you can catch it right away and just do a return or set a default value. But we'll get to that later. So let's just go back to debug. So debug outputs in a different way than this one. And here we also have the try. If we remove this exclamation point, we are saying that this function can't return an error. But this one has a try, so it's saying that I will try. So either it succeeds or it will return an error. But if there's nothing to handle the error, it will says this can't be done. So if we remove this one, it should give us an error. Yes, it did. Okay. The pre-launch task build.zig dynamic terminated with an exit code of 1. Remember my choice, yes. Show errors, always. No problem has been detected. Wow. So what did it say? Install, compile, debug native 1 error. The following build command failed with exit code 1. Do we get any good information about what was actually wrong? Nope, doesn't feel like it. Not even a line number, anything. That's not gonna be easy to debug. Oh, did it? Oh, it did. It was just up here. Yeah. Function cannot return an error. So we are trying to return an error and it says that the function cannot return an error. So that is correct. So we need this one. All we need to give it a default value. So can we just catch return and then remove this one? What we're actually doing is saying it should do this, or it should just return. It shouldn't even give an error. Nope, we cannot do that. Is it the same? No, functions cannot return an error. So we are not handling it correctly. It might be because when we return, we still just return the error instead of a value, but we are actually saying that it's void, so returning 0 should still give us an error, right? Yep. Okay. I guess we have to learn a bit more to be able to do stuff like that. But yeah, try says it could fail, and right now it's just gonna bubble up by using try, bubble up the error from this call to this function. And yeah, we need this exclamation point. Whoa. Maybe I can add a plugin or something that says that the background color can't be that bright, because this is insane. What else do we have? We have some. Most of the time it's inappropriate to write to standard error rather than standard out. Appropriate. Okay, yeah. Often we want to have output because of errors, and we should output them to standard error rather than standard output. And whether or not the message is successfully written to the stream is irrelevant. Yeah. Also, formatted printing often comes in handy for the common case. There's a simple API. So we have this format where we are adding, and I already know that this means that it's a string that we're trying to write out. So if we're taking, let's just take this one and replace. If we're using the one or the other, it should be the same, right? Or maybe standard out can't format it. We can just try to see if, I don't think that's possible, right? No. Yeah, that's possible. Okay, so it's something on the debug print that allows us to do this string formatting. But what happens if we do this? Error. Of course we get an error. Yeah, cannot format slice without a specifier. Okay, because this is a so-called slice, it's an array of something, and we want to print it out, but it doesn't know how to print it out. Should it be characters? Should it be integers? Should it be whatever? and I just wanted to have it write out the actual values of it. So I think SX base 64, can I just convert it by writing B64? Does it have that built in? It actually does. Nice. I really like that. So you can base 64 encode a string just by saying that I want to output it as a base 64 encoded string. That's really nice. What else do we have for these formats? I know that I'm jumping around right again. Okay, here we have all the primitive types. It's kind of standards. Just a regular integer, 8 bytes, 8 bits, unsigned, signed, unsigned, in different sizes. I have never seen 128-bit integers, but why not? Usize, that's the one that is really gave me problems, because when you do for loops, by default it's using usize. But if you want to use that within the iteration in the for loop as an index or something, you have to cast it to an integer. And that I found just weird. I won't call it stupid, because somebody made that decision and they probably have a good reason to do it, but it's not something I understand at the current moment. So I guess there's a reason, but I don't see it. Why not just use a normal integer or an unsigned integer, or allow me to use it? Because I think that was one of the things, I couldn't actually just use the unsigned integers for the loop, for loops. And when we have the standard floats, non-standard floats, again, I have never seen an 80-bit floating point. That's okay, and a 128. Wow. 112 bits. I can't remember if that's the actual number, or I guess that it is, because that would give the precision. And then you still have, what do you have? 16 bits for the power, and then a boolean, any opaque used for type erased pointers. No clue. That's kind of weird, but okay. Or void, but we have the void here. Always the value void, no return type. Okay, but we were hunting for this exact thing. Or were we? It has a lot of examples here. So we have an empty one, types of bytes, 5. Const hello, bytes, okay. Type of bytes. That's kind of weird, it's returning 5. Oh, no. This is the type. It's the const pointer to an array of 5. But why is it 0 here? I don't get that. Okay. Bytes length, yes, 5. Byte 1, that 0 indexed, so 0 is H, 1 is E. So you can print out, it can be printed out as C and D. What's the C is a character, D is a decimal, but it returns 0. That I'm not sure about. This one makes sense. And then we can print out actual Unicode characters. I really like that. So let's see, we could print it out as, can we print out everything as just by using decimals? Because I just want the array of decimals. No, it sees it as I'm trying to convert everything into one decimal. That doesn't make sense. So let's see. We have this. Can I just index down into that one? So if I'm doing like this, yes, that is possible. Nice. So world is W, and should we just check 87 W? $87. Okay, where did 87 go? Okay, that's kind of weird. 37 and then down to 77 and boop. There's nothing between here, in between here. Okay, so what is in octadecimal, oct and hexadecimal HTML number. So it's actually this one. Yes. And it's a W. So yes, we can write out the decimal for a string value or character value, not a string. So we have a lot of options to print out different values in different formats. I really like that I can just print out stuff in base64 encoded. So let's get back up here. Duck comments, okay. That's also some strange way of doing it. Is comment special in zig? There are no multi-line comments in zig. Oh, okay. I like having them, but it's very rare that I actually use them. So I don't think I would be affected by it. A duck comments is one that begins with exactly 3 slashes, not 4 and not 2. Multiple duck comments in a row are merged together to form a multi-line duck comment. Okay. Why use 3? I can see why you would use 3 at the top of the comments. But why not? Is it because it can generate some documentation based on this? And just code comments is 2, and 3 is kind of made for the documentation. Only allowed in certain places. It is a compiler error to have duck comments in an unexpected place, such as in the middle of an expression, or just before a non-duck comment. Oh, okay, so you can have this, but it can't be followed by a normal, what did it call? Just before a non-duck comment. Okay, non-duck comments. That's the thing now. Unattached duck comment. Is that allowed? End of file? Nope. Yes. Top level document. 2 slashes and an exclamation point. There's a compile error if a top-level doc comment is not placed at the start of a container. What's a container defined by? A container in Zig is any syntactically construct that acts as a namespace to hold variables, functions, and so on. Okay. Nice. So we can comment as we usually do with 2 slashes. And we can do a top level doc comment by using 2 and an exclamation point, and 3 is for the doc comments. Okay. And then we revisit the primitive types. If that is all there is, if we map integers together and chars together, okay, we have specific char. That's for compatibility with C. Oh, sorry, I banged the microphone. Okay, because this feels like just repeating some of the integers, unsigned integers, signed and unsigned integers. So that's kind of something I don't think I will be using if possible. I would always be using the normal integers. But maybe this is a good place to stop for today. We just got Zig installed, Visual Studio Code installed. We got the ability to run code from Visual Studio. And we played around a bit with some string formatting, but apparently only something that is supported by debug print. I don't know if stdout write all has something like it, because at times you would like to output, base64 encoded strings to something else than the standard debug output, to a file, whatever. So maybe that's something we can look into next time, but I think I'm just gonna be following the documentation here. So next time, string literals and Unicode. Yeah, we kind of went over that you can print out your data. And what is that? Memory will be used to compare bytes. Okay, mem equals. Okay, so you can compare memory areas. That's also very useful, especially when you start allocating memory yourself and just having the ability to compare memory areas. I like that. I really like that. But yeah, let's stop for this time and just see if I have time tomorrow as well. And we'll continue our journey learning Zig. Thanks for joining, and see you